just going to record this. So I wanted to do this evening work with me. I know we've been doing these more often to give you guys like opportunities to hop on and really like have, you know, since people work in the day, it's hard to hop on and work with me. So we wanted to provide more opportunities. So on Tuesdays and Fridays, if I'm not mistaken, we have the evening ones. We might have another one on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. My brain's like completely farting right here. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, we have our evening. Sorry, see, brain fart. And the reason why is because I remember what it was like working 13-hour days, and I would miss out on the trainings. I would miss out on like the Zoom calls, things like that. And it was hard for me to stay close to the fire at first. So that's why it's really important for me to have these and have our girls all have an opportunity to be able to pour into each other, especially in the evening time and heading into a weekend. And the reason why I say that is a lot of us have that not a lot of us, but I know for me, I did. I had that 9 to 5 work ethic where I would only work Monday through Friday. And then when the weekend would happen, I'd be like, oh, it's time to not be working my business. And then it would cause inconsistent results. So the reason I like having like going into the weekend, it's how to help you guys really set the tone and do things different, but also set the tone for what you're going to do during the weekend. I'm pretty positive since it is a holiday weekend, they will be announcing a sale. I would assume like Sunday, Monday, maybe. They usually do those. I'm not going to count on them. It is a holiday weekend, right? I'm not like going crazy. Okay. I'm like, my brain, you guys, I'm telling you, between moving, selling a house, all the things in between, homeschooling, it's no joke. So I feel ya on all the things. But the thing is, I want to start with engagement, because if you've noticed, like, I noticed lately Instagram and Facebook have a kind of like an algorithm going on where I think they're updating some of the algorithms. Like my views are a little different, things like they're doing reels now. So those are a big thing. And if you notice, when you do a reel, you get a ton of engagement. I'm personally, and that's why I'm taking Gia's advice on this, I'm personally not comfortable with reels. And I was never really comfortable with TikToks either. But I'm stretching myself in these two areas. I know Betty stretched herself and did this today. I know a few of you guys are stretching yourself. So maybe put that on like a to-do list for the weekend if you want, and be like, hey, let's do a reel by tonight, or let's do a TikTok by tonight. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be like my nighttime routine, and it could be like a picture of this, a picture of you reading, a picture of your balance, a picture of your recharge, your kids and cuddling them, whatever it may be. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be done. And I think stretching yourself in those areas really help you build more confidence. So how I want to start this out, because I'm really, really focusing on this area, is I would like for everyone to pop a picture first off, like a boomerang or something like that of us all on this training. The reason why I like to do these every time I want to work with me is I want to show community. We have such an amazing, am I really loud? Oh, okay. I thought I was like yelling. Can you guys hear me okay?
Someone's just not muted, so their background noise is
Oh, that's why. Okay, I apologize. I didn't have my volume up on you guys, so all I heard was me talking. I didn't hear everyone else. So I'm sorry. I've been talking this whole time. Y'all are having a hard time hearing me. No wonder I kept seeing like, I kept seeing faces go like this, and I'm like, am I saying anything weird? See, this is what I'm telling you. I'm literally a hot mess express lately. So please bear with me during this season of my life. I'm not normally this like scatterbrain, but I'm just going with the flow on things. And I did not know you guys couldn't hear me. Anyways, so what I want to do is pop up a picture in your stories of us on this work with me, whether it be a boomerang, whether it be using one of like the apps that we use for our stories, TikTok, whatever. Show this and then use it in your stories. It's a great place to show connection, community, togetherness. I talk to so many women on a daily that want to have that culture. There's actually like 3 potentials just today that are wanting to be promoters, and one of the main themes that I'm hearing from them when they're talking about being promoters is the community aspect. Because, I mean, if you've been a part of another network marketing company, you might know what I'm about to say. If you have not, you're probably kind of lucky, to be honest, because we're spoiled over here. And I'm not just saying that to say that, but our product line, our comp plan, it's unmatched, but also this community. And the reason why is I've dealt with cattiness, I've dealt with the mean girls, I've dealt with the clickiness, I've dealt with all these things before in network marketing. And I'm very thankful that we don't do that over here. I'm all about women empowering each other. So that's why I like to show these things on my stories, because they really do get that engagement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through kind of what I do with my Instagram. And I'm going to help you guys with Instagram and Facebook tonight and cleaning it up a little bit, but also boosting your algorithms, which your algorithms is who sees your profile. Okay. And it's not about the likes. So let's remove that from our brain when we think, hey, oh, the likes are what make your visibility. No, it's the content. But I talked to compliance this weekend because I want to make sure that you guys are all on track with compliance and everything. And I do see that there is the disconnect sometimes, so I'm making sure I'm teaching this within my downline. If you have your link in your bio, it's against compliance. Okay? And the reason why is they want you to have attraction marketing. We're not like a spammy, like kind of company. And no offense, if it's right in the bio of your page, why would someone want to go talk to you and build a rapport with you or build value with you if they can answer all their questions and not really need to learn anything? You're probably losing out on a lot of potentials. So if your bio, and I've done it before, it was in mine. And the reason what brought them to my attention is I used to have this app, and you can kind of see it's on my Instagram. It's called Milkshake. I only use it for specific things now. But when you go to my little Milkshake link, it takes you to a drop down of different, my internet's being slow, of different things. It says like opportunity. It says purposely driven podcast. I like to know it. Find me on Facebook, and then apply as an influencer. So if you go to my Instagram, you see how it has this, right? Before it had get to know my 3 steps or like health and wellness journey or something. And it had my Lavelle link in this. That's against compliance. So that's why I want you guys to just steer away from that. And the other thing is, even though I didn't have it directly in my bio, it's still having a disconnect for me. So it's an up-level opportunity for me to take it out of my bio, put it into a conversation when it gets that time to bring up. So I'm going to challenge you guys to all start there. The second thing that I've been really doing is I am going through my Instagram and I am cleaning the crap out of it, as well as my Facebook. And why I'm talking about this is I have the little bubbles up here. I'm clearly was looking at Pilot P like 20 minutes ago. But anyways, so what I have is all these little like stories, right? But if I have the main ones up here are Thrivers, that means I'm probably looking at Thriver stuff more than I'm looking at potentials. And I love everyone, and this is not to come off rude. This is to build your network and to really help you, because I'm really getting like cracking down with myself on this and getting back to my basics in these areas. No, nothing with link in your bio can be in your bio. So even if it's a Linktree, a Milkshake app, any of those apps, and your Lavelle link is still in that, you will get a message from compliance if they audit your page. And because I have such a large following and I'm a top leader in the company, I get audited all the time. It's just how it works. It's totally fine. So they let me know, hey, that needs to be removed, and to let my team know as well. And that's why I'm bringing it up on here, just to avoid, a compliance message. They're super nice and they give you time to get it removed. It's not a big deal, but at least y'all know about it going forward. And then you can teach your downlines the right way as well. Okay. So next thing is with these, and you can ask any questions that you guys have. Okay. But what I'm doing is I love you all, but unless you're asking for post love in our team chat, that's what our team chat's for too. Asking for post love, and you're sending your link in there from Facebook or Instagram, I won't know if you need me to engage on your stuff. The reason why is because I have you all muted. And the reason why I have you guys muted is so that my network is mainly potentials. It's all like not just Thriver. It's potential through my stories, through my posts, like in here, okay? or not my post, my timeline. So how you mute people is you're gonna hold, and I've been cleaning this up as I go. You hold their little button, like their little circle at the top. If you hold, let's say you found a thriver, even if it's me, mute me. It's not a big deal. Like that's, I don't want you to be scared to mute people that are in our company or in our business. It's nothing rude. It's nothing being anything like that. But my network is for business. Like my social media is business purposes only. And unless I know to engage, I won't know how to engage unless you ask. Do you get what I'm kind of saying there? So that's why I'm saying use the chat for asking for post love, but mute thrivers so you have more opportunity to engage with your network, okay? So once it says this, it's gonna give me an option to mute. I'm gonna click that. It's gonna say mute stories or mute stories and post. You choose what you want on that. Me personally, I'm doing mute stories and post so that my post and my timeline are cleaned up with potentials only, okay? So what I do then with my Instagram, because Instagram's a different bird, ballpark, whatever. It's completely different than Facebook. Instagram is a more visual based platform. It's like within your first 5 seconds, what are they seeing? So for example, that's why if you go to my Instagram, you see a co-adhesive feed. You see that cleanness on my feed that it like matches, like the colors match, those things. That's a part of a social media audit. If you're needing a social media audit, reach out to your upline so we can get together and schedule that for you, because that's what we're here for. If you're like, hey girl, I don't know what I'm really doing with my social media, but I know it's time to up my game now. I really want to take it to the next level. Let's do a social media audit together and we can go through step by step and figure out what we need to take it to the next level. So first 5 seconds, when someone goes to my profile, they're gonna see my bio and what I'm about. Those are kind of like my fives, like what makes me me in a way, okay? Keep that. But what I also do is I go to my following, and you've heard me talk about this a few different times, okay? I go to my following, and how I'm doing this lately, I'm going to my least interacted, and then on my least interacted right in here, it's gonna pop up a bunch of people, okay? What I'm personally doing is I'm going all the way, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by our chat going on. I get, oh my God, I have bird syndrome. Sorry, squirrel. So I go all the way to the bottom, and then from all the way to the bottom, I start seeing if any of those people are following me. What I do, and this is just a trick, y'all, and we'll spend a couple minutes going through this after because I really want to make this IPA base. I'm gonna unfollow this person and then see how it shows me that they weren't even following me. It says follow. That means she wasn't following me. So I'm unfollowing this person now because I don't want to have people on there that aren't following back. Do you get what I'm kind of saying? So it helps grow your network with genuine connections. So then I'll probably still go, because I connect with her on the fitness part of things. So I'll go through and like a few things, like 3 to 4 things, and then I'll comment probably on her most recent posts. So if she follows me back, then I can follow her. Does that make sense? So she's like, because I engaged on her stuff, now she sees my profile. Because now she sees my profile and we have engaged in a long time, she'll probably end up following me, and then I will return the follow once that happens. That's how I'm growing my network, and it's really, really helping me build genuine connections on Facebook. The reason why I'm doing that is because I used to do the lazy way, and I'm gonna call myself out on this. I used to use those apps that would unfollow anyone that wasn't following me, and then Instagram got smart and they started banning those. So I've been doing this for a while, and it really helps me build genuine connections, make sure that my audience are people that are actually following me and that I'm actually can engage with. And then from there, I also go back to where it has like your main followers, not where it says the least interacted, but I go through and I click these little arrows that are up and down right here on the right hand side. If you're back where it's, so if you go to your page, click followers, and then there's 2 little arrows that are going up and down. When you click those 2 arrows that are going up and down, you're gonna you can click and sort by latest or earliest. What I'm doing is latest right now, just for this example. But this is a really good way to go through who you've recently followed and engage with their profile as well. If they haven't followed me back and it's been a few days since I followed them, I will unfollow. I typically unfollow about once a week from who I've followed, but I'm unfollowing people, about 5 people a day on both platforms. I'm also adding to my Instagram and my Facebook about 5 to 15 people a day. This is an everyday situation that I'm being intentional with. And because I'm being intentional with this, especially over the last week, my audience is growing differently. My attraction's growing differently. My business is growing differently. It's not the same faces that have been on my platform for the last year. Also, a way to hold yourself accountable, and then we'll spend a couple minutes doing this, is what is the number on your Instagram? So for example, I'm following 6,825 people. That, I know that may scare you, but that's just what I'm following because of my network, okay? But if it's like that 6,825 people a month from now, and it's the same exact number, then I'm not doing all my IPAs. Does that make sense? Because this is a part of your income producing activities, is growing and unfollowing your network, so that it's not just the same people on your timeline over and over and over and over. And try to steer away from following the same people other thrivers are following. The reason why is because they can have a completely different network than you, but not only that, it can get a little confusing or a little bit different when you're constantly following the same network. I'm going to answer these questions, and while I'm answering these questions, let's spend about 2 to 3 minutes unfollowing through the least interacted section and following back if needed. Also, if you're first one on their following list, she follows you. If not, you're not. That's a good point. Only reason I unfollow to see if they're following me back is so that I don't have to unfollow again. It's kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone for me. It's like I just unfollow, and then, oh, I see that she's not following me. Then I just leave it and then engage on her stuff, if that makes sense. Because by me engaging on her stuff, then if she decides to follow me back, for example, then I will know to follow her back. And then plus, I'm engaging, and that will boost her to the top and boost my stuff to her top, if that makes sense. Okay, I started tracking what it's on Sundays, and I can tell when I worked on building or not. Yes, I love that. And if that works for you, like how Jamie was saying, she has a specific day to follow or to confirm if she's following enough or growing her network, do that. That's a really good thing to implement into your routine. My weekend routine, My weekend routine is a little bit different than my weekday routine. My weekend routine is consisting of engaging a lot, sharing a lot of family time. It's about showing I'm a real person and I don't have to be on my phone 20,000 times a day. It's also about being intentional with the areas and setting goals. So like goal setting for the next week, writing down to-do lists that I need to do, going through and engaging. I mean, I do a lot more behind the scenes work and preparing for the following week on the weekends as well. So if a specific day works for you to confirm that you're doing these, I love that. Yes, I started getting the habit of doing it, and I'm amazed at the connections I made. Yes, and I think this was the thing that I was like, okay, so I'm building a lot of connections, but I'm seeing a lot of the same people on my timeline. And then these same people on my timeline are starting to follow other thrivers of mine, or starting to follow the same people that I follow. And so it ends up being like a giant circle of the same people's faces all the freaking time. And I'm like, to me means I need to switch up my following. That to me means, oh, now it's time to get real and unfollow and follow who I need to that connects. So for the next I think we have about 1 minute left. Let's just continue going through our least interacted and just kind of engaging. I truly kill all 3 birds with 1 stone. I comment on 1 post. I like a couple posts, and then I unfollow. If you're on a work with me, I am going to press into your strengths on this. I would like to have everyone's camera on. The other thing is, if you're on this, really sit down and be intentional with your income producing activities. Because I want everyone to really get understanding. It's not like trying to micromanage or anything like this. This is just holding yourself accountable for what we're here for. And I don't care what we look like. If I'll look like a hot mess if that makes you feel comfortable. But like, Karen, you make me laugh. Stop. So anyways, what I love about this is I'm trying to help you guys press into yourselves a little bit differently to hold yourself accountable differently. Obviously, if you're like at a dinner or you're driving or your kids are like running, I don't care. Like not everyone has to have the camera on if there's a reason why. But I would like to start all of us. It's something me and Meredith talked about. It's something that we're all trying to really push ourselves in leadership, is to hold you guys to that standard. Like Jessie Lee, one of the things I love about her, she's like, if you're on a Zoom and you're not like paying attention and you're not doing your income producing activities, then why are you on it? You know what I mean? So that's the other thing. That's why I love Jessie Lee. She helps me tap into my strengths a little bit more in this area, because it's true. Let's pay attention. Let's grow ourselves. Let's get accountable. So for the next couple minutes, or not couple minutes, like one less minute, since I talk 6,000 miles an hour. I don't know how you deal with me. I talk so much. It's like a thing. I can't even breathe because I talk so much. Okay. Also, sorry, I just saw this girl that I'm following and it made me think of it, because I always forget to mention these things. If your following is more than your followers, that can hurt your algorithms. So I'm using this girl for an example. She is following, or she has 831 followers, but she's following 1,500. So she's following more than what's following her. That can cause an algorithm. And algorithms, if you want to dive more into that, YouTube honestly is my best friend. What I do is I search 2021 Facebook and Instagram algorithms. Pretty much what it comes down to is people like to see genuine connection. The more you're commenting and being like a person instead of like a robot, the more that your stuff is going to get boosted to the top. Oh, I don't care, Meredith. You're good, boo. You saved my life today. So I'm almost done. And then I'm going to go back and forth a little bit between Facebook and Instagram, because I want to make sure I'm helping you in both areas of growing both. And I have, the reason why I'm talking about this for IPAs is because I've had a ton of questions behind the scenes about growing your network and how to follow people, how to like search hashtags, all the things. So now we're going to go over to Facebook. I'm going to give you guys a second. I have a couple different tricks for Facebook, because Facebook is a lot more personable. It's more like, I don't know. It's like if you walked into the store, and like Instagram's like the storefront, and then Facebook's like the clothing and the decor in the store. It's like more personable. Like Facebook's a totally different ballpark. So you don't have the handy dandy features all the way that Instagram has. So what I do, for example, on my Facebook, because I spend more time on Instagram, so I apologize. I go to, for example, whoever just recently followed me. So this person just recently followed me. She has 17 mutual friends with me, okay? So what I'm going to do, and this is how I unfollow on Facebook. I go to the mutual friend section of whoever you're looking, and then I go and see, God, I'm a hot mess. I go and see if I connect with these mutual people. If these mutual people are people that I'm not connecting with any longer with my brand, or they're thrivers, I will go to the thrivers. For example, let me see, I'm pretty sure she has a mutual friend. Okay, so she has Erica, for example. And this is the same thing what I do with Erica. I have Erica on my friends list, but I don't follow Erica. Does that make sense? Because she's a thriver. I don't want to see just thrivers on my timeline. So even though she has mutual friends with me, I'm not going to unfriend any of my like my downline or anything like that on Facebook, but I am going to unfollow. But I'll keep going through like her network. So in seeing who she has, if some of these people don't align with my brand or my network or none of that, I'm going to completely unfollow them. And this is just a quick way for me to go in and clean up my network instead of going through all my friends list. Does that make sense? Mutual friends is like a little secret tip for me to just be able, especially if someone, I'm finding that people have like 600 mutual friends with me. That's not okay. So if that's what's happening, it's either because they're going through my friends list and adding my friends list, which happens. It's network marketing and people aren't taught the same way. Like people poach, but there's no such thing as poaching unless you're building a business the right way. So that's why I'm teaching you these tools. That's why I say don't follow other thrivers people. So for example, I know a lot of you guys use your friends list and go to suggestions, like, or you have people that pop up underneath suggestions and you'll add from there. Let me give you guys some tips on this just to avoid any type of things that don't connect to your brand. Axel, stop it. Sorry, my dog.
I got it. I'm not. You're done. Okie dokie.
There we go. So on my suggestion, friends, it's going to show when they have mutual people with me. So if they have, like, my phone just died. If they have mutual friends and it's like, let's say Gia and Meredith, like just to give an example, and Gia and Meredith are their friends on Facebook, right? I'm not going to go and friend request that person on Facebook because they have Gia and Meredith as a friend on Facebook already. That I don't want to cross network people. And not that I'm stealing potentials or anything like that, but let's say maybe Gia has been talking to that person and we have no idea. And then let's say they friend request me and then they start talking to me and decide to sign up. I don't want that. I don't want cross contamination of potentials. So anytime I have any of you guys, and let's say they friend request me and they have any of you on their timeline, I don't approve it. Because I don't want them to have, I don't want to have the same network as you all, if that makes sense. So it really just helps us have our own like connections. And there's millions of people in the world. You're never going to run out of people to connect to. The other thing, since my phone is dead and I'll walk you through this, is I also use groups all the time on Facebook. So for example, I used to do NPC competitions. Like I was training for those back in the day when I was in like the best shape of my life and like barely ate anything. But like I literally would be a part of that type of group because I get a lot of nutritional facts in it. I can talk about product stuff in it. I can talk about supplements and vitamins and different parts of the vitamin intake, all those things, BCAAs, those things with that type of group, right? Because that's their niche. That's what we all kind of connect on. Or I have, like, when I was planning my wedding back in March, I would be a part of a group that was about wedding planning. And I would talk and share tips. And it doesn't have to ever be business related. I can always be like, girl, how to create a cake topper. I don't know, like if you're DIYing your wedding. And I would ask questions like that in that group. And it would cause all these connections. And people would start friend requesting me because they go to my front of my page, which is my open sign for my business. They see that I have a clear photo. It's not like and no offense if you have this, but this is why I say if you need a social media audit, this is really important. But if you have like Snapchat filters as your profile picture, me personally, wouldn't add you. And the reason why is because it's spammy. It's not professional looking. You want to have like a crisp, clear like photo of yourself. And then you want to have a cleaned up bio and a cleaned up timeline. That's why it's really important to focus on those things. And I know it sounds so small and it's not to sound like you need to have it perfect because I don't care if your pictures are perfect. I just want to see crisp and clear. Does that make sense? I need to see you. So that's why I avoid doing like Snapchat filters, or if on my timeline in my stories only, I'm using the filters. But on my post, I'm using Lightroom. So on my timeline on Facebook and Instagram, it's Lightroom only. On my stories, I'm just using the Instagram filters that are on there. So then it's filtered. I save that Instagram story and then I post it over to Facebook. Because what happens is if you connect it together, it's going to limit your audience as well. There's all these little tricks. That's why I'm recording this so you guys can rewatch and take notes if you need to. This is honestly, you can do income producing activities. How do we suggest you transition your theme page of your theme? Or I can't talk, but you know what I mean. What I did is personally, if you go through my Instagram and you scroll all the way back to probably a year and a half ago when I first did presets, you'll see that I literally just started doing presets. Like you can tell on my Instagram, if you really take the time to scroll back, it will show you that I was like not knowing what I was doing with Instagram. And then all of a sudden I started using presets. And then they were like these weird, like the presets I originally started with were kind of like a greeny orangey color. Now that I look back at them, I'm like, why did I ever use those? That's okay. But I used them. And then I went to like gray tones because I like gray tones. And then I went back to orangey tones. So it's really, don't overthink it, just do it really. And honestly, I did a walkthrough video on our team page underneath unit 3 or 6 or 5, somewhere in there, on how to use Lightroom. It's super, super simple. So if you need help with it, reach out to, I can always walk you through it. But those videos go over how to use Lightroom. And on that, there's another training I sent in the team chat recently from a different sideline sister, and it was a training on social media cleanups, and it's a really in-depth one. It's really, really good, so I can send that as well. I know this isn't like an IPA. I just don't, I wanted you guys, it is IPAs, but it's not like, hey, 5 minutes here, let's take 5 minutes and work on this. The reason why is because we do that so much, and I know we do that in the morning, and I know we're doing that at night, but I'm sharing these tips so you guys can kind of do them with us as we're doing these things, because I know that a lot of us don't know about some of these things, because I even recently learned about some of these things. And so I want y'all to have these tips that you can start implementing. My phone would turn back on. Oh, it did. Let's work while I have 5 seconds of this. So on Facebook, the other thing I do for growing my network and following my network is I really pay attention to how someone posts. So what I mean by that is if I were to go to someone's timeline right now and just be like a random person, I'm just going to find a random person, for example. Okay, so this girl, I don't know who she is, but we'll go with her. So if I scroll down to her page, for example, she posts probably every other day. So it's not maybe the most consistent. So I pay attention to these things because this is going to show someone's work ethic if they were to come to my team. And I know this, if you're not the most consistent, don't be hard on yourself. You can get most consistent, but this is what people are paying attention to, especially from an amateur network marketer to a professional network marketer. I want y'all to be professional network marketers. Professional network marketers, guess what they make? Multiple 6 figures. That's what I want all of y'all experiencing. What if you were making $5,000, $10,000 on a week, $2,000 on a week, 3,000, 1,000, whatever? It's doable, but these are the steps that take you from that level to this level, okay? So consistency on Instagram, I post maybe every there's some days I didn't post for the day, but I'm in my stories all day, if that makes sense. So don't be hard on yourself because Instagram's a little bit different than Facebook. I write out my likes on my Instagram if it's still getting engagement and it's a good post on Instagram. I don't go and immediately just post if I don't need to on Facebook. But if you haven't had any likes recently, then it's time to post. That's when I do that because that means my algorithm isn't working over there. Does that make sense? People aren't seeing my posts. People aren't seeing my page. I know this is kind of like a weird lingo, but I'm just trying to help you in these areas. So Facebook, if I were to go to her page, let's say I see, for example, this one right here. When I tell you social, and Kayla did a training on this too, it's social media do's and don'ts. I personally, like this, is the things I'm talking about avoiding. Like a screenshotted product picture that's like a collage. It's pretty and it's well explained, but this would be more something in a story. Does that make sense? On Facebook or Instagram. And this, let's see. This would be something I rather see on a timeline, for example. The reason why, it's her. It's not her product. It's not her business. It's her. This is attraction marketing. When I go here, this is the lady in the mall that's saying, come try this product. I want you to explain. I want you to try it. That's, hey, let me curl your hair. This is her. This is her. This is her. Does that make sense? Attraction marketing. So if you go to my page, and I'll use me as an example, so I can, because she's not part of our team. She's a part of a different company. So it makes it easy. I could train her on this type of thing. Because I have people from different companies come to me about branding and networking. And I do other trainings with other companies on these things. I don't give them all my tips, but I share some of these things because it's key. And so I'm kind of all over the place lately because I'm switching up my content. This was about me literally going into Costco and not stressing about Costco and my son's 13th birthday this weekend. This photo though, and this is just being honest and real with you, this photo I took back in May. Okay? I repurpose content. And the reason why is, one, I was at Costco. I forgot to take a picture of my cart with my receipt. This story though, that's on this post, which you can't see, that is literally something I felt walking into Costco today. So it's not being misleading. It's not being misrepresenting or anything like that. I'm just being smarter, not harder. It's like, oh, I forgot to take a picture. Oh, I'm not going to post today. No. You know what I mean? So at least I did it. And I just used, what I did when I took this photo, I had taken 6 different photos of the same picture, but with just different angles, right? And before I used this picture back in May, I used a different angle of the exact same photo. This picture just has a different angle. That's it. So it's a good way to repurpose content, use content where you're not overcomplicating things too, because I batch content and repurpose things as much as I possibly can. What I mean by batch contenting, I can't talk, is let's say I'm wearing this shirt and I took a bunch of selfie pictures. And I could easily go and just take this shirt off, put another shirt on, and take a bunch of another selfie pictures. And then I have all these other pictures to use throughout the week that look like I'm freaking have my life together, and I really don't have the time, but like, I'm ready. So since I got ready right now, I'm going to use myself getting ready and use some of these to have content. So the days that I'm like dark circles, bags under my eyes, crying from homeschooling, which was yesterday, I still have content to post. Does that make sense? Because I think that sometimes we get overthinking, oh, we need to have a picture every single day. And I know I was that person too. So when we go to this on here, what I also do is I don't want to do that, but I go through and see how I have all these comments? I haven't responded back to these comments yet. Tonight, I am going to go back and personally respond to every single comment. I'm going to go comment more than 4 words, because you need to be commenting more than 4 words. It can't just be emojis or, oh my God, I love this, the ones that come pre-populated on your Facebook. It needs to be you genuinely talking, okay? So I go through, I let people comment, and then later that night or in the morning, I go through and respond back. So guess what it does? It takes this post and boosts it back to the top of someone's page. I also, and this is a way that you can kind of, I hate using the word hop in people's inboxes because we don't do that. We don't do the cold messagey thing. I don't teach that, nothing like that, but I do build friendships, right? So what I'm doing, and I know a lot of you guys question how to talk to people and how to talk to people in their inboxes, because I know that's something that can be hard. So I keep it super simple. I go through and I see who liked on my post, right? And I just say, thank you very much for showing love on my page. It means a lot to me. Something simple. It doesn't have to be like that. If that makes you feel a certain type of way, it doesn't have to. You don't have to do that. For me, I do that. If it's someone that's been continually liking my stuff, like every single time I post, I'm going to thank them. It's not being spammy. It's not being cold messagey. To me, I'm genuinely going in there with, hey, I'm really thankful that you're showing love on my page. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I voice message it typically. So then that yesterday, I just I have a little tripod. You can get them on like Amazon or Pixie. Oh God, my husband probably just got home and they're gonna all start barking. I use this thing. I got this on, I got this one at Best Buy. It's a little bit more pricier, but you can get them on like not Instagram, on Amazon, and they're super cheap. And the reason why I like these, because Nick and Kingston hate taking pictures for me. So any pictures that you guys see on my page, it's me personally taking. Like, they don't take pictures for me. So Kingston's outgrown that stage. So this one, the reason why I like it is it can bend and hang on to things. So like if I wanted to like hang it on like somewhere and get like a different angle, I can do that. And that's why I like that. If you guys need something like this, I can link it, because this one, it really is handy. And then all I do is I put my phone on a timer and then just and then I just take pictures. So it always really helps me batch content. I don't need a person to help me. And also back in my like OG days when I first was starting out and had no idea to do it, I literally would be outside propping my phone on a rock or propping my phone on a freaking cactus, because we don't have trees in Arizona. So it'd be hanging on a cactus like this, and I have it on a timer, and I'm being real. This is literally how I built my business, is me propping things on cactuses. Sorry, that's the thing here. So I use a timer. You guys need to be quiet. I use a timer. My nephew and Kingston just got here. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a bunch of kids in this house. So I literally just use a timer or prop it on there and really get some content going. The other thing is, literally that's me. So that, or like a window, you should see me when we're out in public. Like I prop it on anything I can find that can be propped. And I will put a timer on, and then I'll be like, Nick, come take a picture with me. And then we get a picture. So, but the other thing is, what was I about to say? Oh, I always try to make sure I'm building pictures as much as Pixie, can you get her? I always try to build pictures as much as I possibly can, so that I'm never saying, hey, I don't have anything to post. And the other thing I really do is I don't know what to post every day. I'm not that person that's going to be like, I plan out my content and I have it all ready the night before, because I don't. I do not. The last 2 nights that I did my stories, I was really proud of myself. I went on that Story Chic app that I've told you guys about, and I had those made the night before, but everything else, I have no idea what I'm going to post about. Maybe you feel better doing that. That works for you. Please do that. Me, I pull a lot of my posts and like my captions and my content from my personal development and what I'm struggling with or going through. So let's say like today with that post about talking about what it was like to walk into a store before and tell my son, no, you can't have this right now, we can't afford it. Or I needed to check and budget how much I could spend before on groceries, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Those were real life moments I've experienced. And maybe that's your circumstance right now. I think sometimes we steer away from owning our struggles when it comes to posting, because we have to act. It's almost like you're part of a network company, so you think you need to be making kazookies amount of money right now, and because you're not, it's not okay to share where you're at, if that makes sense. And that's not the case. I always would speak into life. So like back when I first started and I would post, I would be like sitting in a cubicle and take a picture of my cubicle at work and be like, I can't wait till I'm no longer sitting in this, that I'm able to be my own boss. This is the reason I do what I do, is so that I don't have to keep missing out on moments and working overtime on holidays in order to get extra money to be able to do things with my son. I owned my struggle. You know what I mean? I talked about those things because literally people relate to that because more than they do success. It's harder and I'm being honest, it's harder for me to get people in my inbox now because people look at me like I'm successful, so they can't relate to that, versus people that are in like their struggles or their chapters of growth. People want to know what you're doing when they see you changing. But back, I know we've been on for like 45 minutes. I'm going to leave this open really quick for you guys to ask any questions or maybe anything that you guys maybe want to help with growing your network or following, please drop in the comments so I can answer this and just do like a short 5-minute Q&A sesh in case you guys have anything. You can also unmute yourself if you need to. I don't know how it works. I think I have it set, so just ask to unmute if needed. Ash, you need to unmute? Oh, I'm like, I'm putting you on this. You're like, no. Okay, so if you guys have questions, let me know on that. But the next thing I do with these pictures is I try to switch up my content every day. So for example, with my stories, like this was me in front of a box yesterday of Lavelle product. And I talked about how we get free product credit every month. And I kind of painted that picture. This post, honestly, the only reason I posted this was for engagement. Does that make sense? I literally have been struggling with my allergies. Like I've been sneezing and waking up with a cough every morning, things like that. No, I don't have COVID. And the next thing is, I had 43 interactions and 24 comments just on that post about my allergies. It was just to start building engagement with people. So now what I'm doing is I'm going through and commenting back to these people and just building those connections. Oh yeah, I love these tips. I'm glad that they're helping. Also, watch parties. The other thing that, if you don't know, y'all are doing all the things right now. So the other thing that I do is I have a save folder, and I've talked about this before in previous trainings, but see how my folders, there's saved folders right here. There's one that says training, so any trainings that are important to me. There's one that says opportunity events, okay? This opportunity event one has literally all my favorite, I don't know which way it goes some way. It has all my favorite opportunity events saved in here. A lot of them are the ones I've done. And the reason why is I go through, and if you go back to my page, every so often I'll host a watch party and I'll add like 3 different videos to it. It could be like Katie's, for example, like watch part, or Katie's opportunity event, or one that you saved, or maybe one you've done. I go through, so I did one the other night from last year. This is a video that I did last year, and it was a really good opportunity event that I talked about how one single choice changed my whole life. So I did this and just restarted it and added a couple opportunity events, and I had a lot of people coming to my inbox wanting to know a little bit more about what I did. My phone died again. So I wrote that time out, but I hope these tips helped you guys. I know it wasn't like IPA based. I apologize for not being on this morning's work with me. I know Meredith took over and saved my life. I was supposed to host it, and honestly, just a lot of life. So I appreciate her coming in and helping. I also want to challenge you guys on a couple things just for this weekend. If you need help with wording, social media audits, all the things, I don't know unless you ask. Your upline doesn't know unless you ask. So getting uncomfortable and asking if that's something you need help with. Also, the other thing is our team pages, like our team page and our team chat, or not team chat, our team page and our customer page, those are for all of you guys. If there's something, like maybe it doesn't matter if you're not a rank, I don't care about that. But let's say there's something on your heart that you have grown through, or that you're growing from, or learned from this business, or experienced from the products, and you want to go in on the customer page and talk about a product or what it's done for you, you can do that. Or on our team page, let's say there's something on your heart and you want to go live in the team page and just pour into us. It's just us. It's the same people that are in the chat every single day that you go and comment and interact with. It's not scary once you do it. You just got to do it. But it's on your heart to talk about something, do it. That's what this team page is for all of us to grow, all of us to up level, all of us to apply pressure to ourselves to get to that next level of ourselves, if that makes sense. So I'm so glad that you love the new team page. I know it's not 2 years of content in there, but it's simplified that we can keep growing it all together and we can all bring things together. So for example, I'll use just Jamie for example, since she said something. She has a specific day that she goes in and designates to make sure that she's growing her audience. That could be like a little training that she does about how she builds a routine for what works with her. And maybe someone on this got something out of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like, hey, a rank, a leader, or anything. It could be whoever has something to share. That's what that page is for. That's what I want you guys to understand. Literally, that's how I build leaders, is by helping you understand your voice matters. And I got to pass you that baton, because all of us, that's how Gia grew as a leader. That's how Meredith's grown as a leader. That's how Lydia's grown as. I'm just throwing out people that I know that have hit those ranks and stuff like that. They didn't hit those ranks because they're just good at what they do. Yes, they're good at what they do, but they were willing to get uncomfortable in some of those areas that were already on their heart, but they did it even when it was scary. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to just end the night with saying that, because I know sometimes I get it, like, I'm intimidated to go live, or I'm intimidated to talk to like our team and things like that. But if we can rip off that Band-Aid, and I promise once you do it, you're going to be like, oh my God, I did it. And I'm so proud of myself. I feel bomb.com, and I can take on the whole weekend. Does that make sense? So I hope that helped. I know this is all over the place, just like me per usual. That's why each leader brings something to the table that's different than me, because I am like all over the place. But I love you guys, and thank you guys for spending your Friday evening with me for the last hour. I hope you all have a beautiful night, and good night. If I can end this, it's not ending. There we go.